while back, I put out a post asking the community if there were any games that you wanted to see me cover. I have taken your requests into account and intend to play through and release a one-off analysis for each. The first highly recommended game that will be covered in this student request series will be Thatgamecompanies' 2012 release, Journey. Journey is a unique experience to say the least. Trying to describe it is difficult due to the nature of the game, but I will give a brief overview before getting into the meat of my analysis. Assuming the role of the traveler, the player is dropped into the middle of a desert. Off in the distance stands a great mountain. Intuitively, we know our goal, to reach the peak of the mountain. All of Journey's exposition is handled this way. There is no dialogue, no written documents to find. Everything is conveyed by means of level design, music, and the images found in select areas. The traveler journeys through the desert to the ruins of an ancient civilization, collecting red cloth that grants the power of flight. Upon completing each area, the player character kneels to meditate and is given visions of a larger figure garbed in white. We are shown a history told through an evolving tapestry. Forced through trials, temptations, death, and rebirth, the traveler eventually ascends and passes between the mountain peaks. As soon as the traveler reaches the end of its journey, it is sent back to the desert to begin anew. So what is the game all about? While it may be disappointing to some, I will not be speculating on the lore or backstory of the game. Journey is designed to be a blank canvas for the player to project upon. By deep diving into the symbolism of the red cloth or the meaning behind the mechanical monsters, all I would be doing is project myself onto the symbols. My aim for this video is to strip away any inferred meaning to the traveler's journey and focus only on the underlying form of what this game is. For any of you who are looking for a good interpretation of this symbolism, however, I would direct you over to a fellow YouTuber, Max Darrett, who has his own analysis of Journey. I'll leave the link in the description box below. In preparation for this video, I scoured YouTube for every review and analysis I could find. One common theme I found is that nearly every interpretation is unique to the individual. We all project different things, but underneath it all is one story, one monomyth, so to speak. For those familiar with my channel, it is no surprise that the hero's journey would come up in a game called Journey. This template is commonly used to analyze stories and classify the experience the hero goes through. However, Joseph Cambell, the progenitor of the monomyth, felt the hero's journey should be applied to our own daily lives. That we are the hero in our own story, the traveler on our own journey. In the words of the game's creative director, Genova Chen, the hero's journey essentially is a narrative structure of any life transformation. Journey is very much a classic parable of life. Any and all doubt on the matter vanished when I looked through the original soundtrack. With songs such as The Call, Threshold, Road of Trials, Temptations, Atonement, and Apotheosis, the Campbellian influences appear to be very much intentional. With this in mind, let us look back to the game and how we can apply the adventure to our lives. We are placed into a world known to us, and off in the distance is a mountain. But it isn't a mountain. It is a goal, one so far off and of such height that it feels insurmountable, the call to adventure. Before proceeding further, I'm assigning homework. Imagine what colossal goal you have in your personal life that you wish to tackle. Keep this goal in mind during the video, and remember you are the traveler in this story. Upon crossing the first dune, the red-cloaked figure finds itself walking through a graveyard. This will be the only time I project my own thoughts upon the symbol, but I feel the gravestones mark where travelers who came before fell, giving up on the journey. Walking through the graveyard, we see that when confronted by such a monumental task, most give up before even starting. This aligns with the stage of the hero's journey called the refusal of the call. They choose to remain in an ordinary world, satisfied to remain stagnant, lost in the desert. As we set off to the mountain, the sand makes the traveler's movement sluggish. At this speed, we will never make it. However, one set of ruins has a glyph which manifests a scarf. This gives the traveler flight, a way to soar above the difficulties in life that slow our path to the goal. Throughout the game, glyphs can be found which lengthen the scarf, allowing the flight to last longer. Stripping away the symbolism, what is the scarf? It is a means to help reach our goals easier. In our personal journey, there are things that we can do or attain that serve the same purpose. It is our duty to determine what out there makes our quest easier and work to attain it. This could be as simple as studying, getting a car, or working out. Or it could be more complex, like finding the funds and time to get a specific license, or forming a business connection to help elevate oneself. All of these make the path to climb our personal mountains easier. Within the hero's journey, the scarf represents supernatural aid, a tool gifted by a mentor or discovered by the hero that gifts inspiration to accept the call to adventure. With this tool, the ability to climb the mountain seems possible, and the traveler is ready to leave the ordinary world and enter the unknown or special world. This begins during the Broken Bridge section. The traveler must fix a bridge that leads to the special world. This is known as crossing the threshold, the barrier between the known and the unknown worlds. It is no coincidence that a trophy achieved for crossing the broken bridge without fully rebuilding it is called Threshold. Upon crossing the bridge and entering an unknown part of the desert, the game's soundtrack begins to play the song Threshold. When moving towards a goal, we must get out of our comfort zones. Otherwise, we will always remain in the ordinary world. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. After crossing the threshold and passing through the remains of an ancient civilization, the traveler falls into a dark hole. This is the point of no return called the belly of the whale. We are unable to climb out of the hole and return to the ordinary world. It is sink or swim time. The underground of the city contains mechanical beasts that not only target the traveler, but seek to consume the cloth itself. This takes away our ability to fly and represents the road of trials. During our personal journey, we all encounter figures that work against us, those that either intentionally or incidentally cause us to fail. This comes in many forms. A competitor, be it for a promotion or romantic interest, or sometimes we fight against ourselves. The machine creatures steal the tools we need to succeed, making our task harder. If they catch us, they will tear the scarf and our natural abilities will permanently suffer for it. If the player makes it through this ordeal without tearing the scarf, the trophy called Trials unlocks. In the final leg of the trial, the beasts swarm, and just as they are about to catch the hero, what feels like divine intervention steps in. The glyphs begin to glow like a protective aura, and the tower facilitates escape from the hole. When the journey reaches its peak of danger, the hero has a meeting with the goddess. While not a physical being, the tower itself and mist that rises up gives the traveler unlimited flight, helping to ensure the adventure continues. The goddess in this context is a nurturing aspect that both provides protection and pushes the hero upward to greater heights. This is where we are given a vision from the white-robed figure that the mountain will destroy us. Eventually, one must leave the safety of the goddess back into the dangers of the unknown. There is, however, a negative aspect of this, which is the next phase of the hero's journey. It is called Woman as the Temptress. While the goddess provides temporary safety before pushing us forward, the Temptress provides safety and ensures we never leave it. This entire segment on the frozen mountain informs the traveler just how unforgiving the path to the summit can be. The freezing cold saps away the scarf's power, leaving us unable to avoid the innate difficulties of life. Those who succumbed to the unyielding cold form a new graveyard in the snow. The Temptress rests at the end of the graveyard. Within one cave is a heat lamp. Bathed in the warmth of the light, one can rest, shielded from the freezing winds. Now that we, as the heroes of our own story, have experienced how unforgiving the path to our goals can be, a sense of safety is welcome. Many, however, refuse to continue. The Temptress is seductive. We can stay here in her warm embrace forever, abandon the journey for the sake of comfort. This can be the allure of money, fame, settling for less than we initially desired, or the fear of more strife. Those who allow themselves to be led off the path become just another gravestone. Many do. While the fallen hero did indeed achieve something great by making it this far, a rare few continue on. Once the traveler bypasses temptation and leaves the cave, another broken bridge appears, a second threshold. Once through, the mountain throws everything it has at us. A chill that freezes to the bone, swarms of mechanical monsters, winds to blow the traveler away from the goal. Gravestones are littered everywhere, marking those who fell to these challenges. The final confrontation is titled The Atonement with the Father. As we watch the traveler buffeted by the wind and struggle up the final slope, we may question, what are we struggling for? Is it really worth all of this pain? The hero must confront the reason for the journey, to confront the doubts and fears about one's life. This realization is what gives us the strength to continue on. A common literary theme occurs when the traveler collapses, the death of the old self and birth of something new. Just like at some point in our lives, the child we once were is no more, and the adult is born. After the death, a council of white-robed figures resurrects the hero. This stage is also called apotheosis. The meaning of the word is making into a god, and is used to represent the highest point of development. In that moment, the traveler is fueled by its full potential and ascends out of the storm and above into a heavenly scene near the peak. The story concludes with our hero passing through the twin peaks of the mountain and attains the ultimate boon. Through all of these struggles, by confronting the figures that wish to bar the path, by avoiding the temptations that make us rethink our resolve, we attain the ultimate goal. The mountain that appeared so far away and impossible to reach while standing in the desert has been defeated. But now what? A shooting star erupts from the mountain and returns the traveler to the desert to begin a new journey. If one chooses to wait a week and begin a new game, a trophy called Return will pop. Return is the final phase of the hero's journey. Just like the shooting star returning to the desert, it involves the hero crossing the return threshold back to the ordinary world. What is one to do with this boon? When restarting the game, we walk to the top of the first dune and see the mountain in the distance. There is always more than one hero's journey in our lives, more than one personal transformation. A newborn learning to crawl is the first change. More follow, such as learning to walk, entering primary education to develop the mind, entering adulthood, employment, family, having their own children, and yes, even death. All of these are transformations in life. As one journey ends, another begins. In the game, the pattern on the robes marks a player that is on his or her first journey. With each successful trip to the mountain, the embroideries become more elaborate. This marks them as being more adept at making the trip. With each successful apotheosis, the ability to change oneself for the better becomes easier. Eventually, upon attaining all glyphs in the game, one unlocks the Transcendence Trophy, which gives the traveler white robes, matching those of the elder figures who aided us on the adventure. This gets to the root of what I believe Journey is about. The developers did not set out to make an artistic single-player experience. They set out to create a unique and meaningful multiplayer experience. While we are the heroes of our own story, we are not the only ones in the world. The hero must decide what to do with the ultimate boon. A famous example in literature is after slaying the dragon, one returns to their home with the dragon's gold to distribute and improve the lives of all. With the multiplayer option, players can go on a shared adventure. One who has completed the climb has the option to aid those who haven't completed it. By marking those on their first playthrough, the return player can identify who may need help. This reminds me of the relationship between the Fool and the Hermit card in Tarot. The Fool, being the first card, is a hero still in the ordinary world. Looking up, the Fool sees something he desires and prepares to step off the cliff into the unknown world. The Yapping Dog is the aspect warning the hero to stay in the realm of safety and become another gravestone in the desert. The Hermit is a former Fool who has already climbed the mountain. This figure has already suffered and overcome trials and temptations that the Fool has yet to experience. He stands high, holding a lantern intended to guide those on their journey to the goal. After walking through the mountain and being sent back, I feel the game intends us to become the Hermit and help guide the Fool forward while they experience their own hero's journey for the first time. While we may have overcome hardships in our lives, many out in the world are still struggling. Some are just beginning. Some have tried and failed. Others refuse to answer the call and stay in an ordinary world. It is the role of those who embody the archetypal hermit to recognize those who embody the archetypal fool and provide a guiding light. Just like the white-robed figures appeared to aid the traveler throughout journey, we must become the guide for those who have not yet climbed the mountain.